Hi all, so today I'll be showing you how to do the installation of a downward blipping system. The system that I'm installing is manufactured by ProShift. These guys are located in Derby, England. So the downward blipping system that I'm going to be installing would be on a 2016 Ducati Monster, and it has a fly-by-wire system. That means that there is no accelerator cable, but instead it has something called as an accelerator position sensor. So as you twist the sensor, there will be signals that go through the wires to activate a motor, which then rotates the flaps and controls the amount of air and fuel that's going into your vehicle. So that's how the fly-by-wire system is on this bike, and we will be configuring this downward blipping system on the 2016 Ducati Monster 821. Okay, so before we start installation, let's take a step back and talk about product ordering. So when you order your product from proshift.com and you're asking them for a downward blipping system, make sure you do these things without fail. 1. Provide them the year of manufacture of your vehicle. 2. Provide them whether your vehicle is running a accelerator position sensor or a throttle position sensor. This is very critical. The next point that you need to provide them is the total number of volts that are coming on the TPS or the APS wiring. There are certain bikes that run on a 0 to 5 volt ascending and 5 to 0 volt descending setup. There are certain bikes that run on a 0 to 10 volt and a 10 to 0 volt setup. So it's critical that you provide them these details. Remember, the guys at ProShift are going to be making this in a customized fashion for your bike. These are bespoke products and they're made and built for your bike based on the specifications that you provide. So it's essential that you give them all the information that they ask, otherwise the product may not fit or work as intended on your bike.
So I've mounted the switch. So this switch will switch on and off the blipping system. And as you can see, I've just pulled the wire below, and I haven't zip-tied it yet though, but just showing you guys how I've routed it. So it goes through, and running it in parallel to the original wiring harnesses that are already in place. So go right there, pull it out, goes right below the tank over the cylinder head, and I pull it out from here. I didn't have to remove the tank. Everything is having enough space for me to just push it through, by the way. So I'm going to leave that connector there for now. There's an existing earthing point on this bike, and what I've done is that I've loosened the screw up and then put the earthing wire from the GCU over there, and my positive is going to be connected over there. It's a fused line and I'll be connecting it to that. I've connected the power supply, and now I'm routing the wire for the magic eye. This is a sensor that will actually detect when you're changing the gear and then blip the engine for you. So here you can see the wire to the blipping module which is there. So I'll run it across this completely here. So that's the socket, and then that's the self-teaching module, and I've earthed it over here at the moment. I have not yet connected it to the APS, but that's the earthing point I'm using. I'm going to take this and going to zip tag it over there. So this is the wiring harness which goes from the ECU to the APS and then back to the ECU. And what I'm trying to show you here is that there are several wires in here. Now I've spliced each of these wires and checked the amount of voltage that comes out or goes back to the ECU. And what I've identified is that we would be needing to use the green wire, the brown one, as well as the yellow one. So the green wire will be the one which will have a decreasing voltage. That is, when the throttle is completely closed, it's going to show you 10 volts, and when you open the throttle, it will go down to 0 volts. The brown wire is going to work opposite. So basically what it will be doing is that it will be at 0 volts, and when you open the accelerator, it will go all the way to 10 volts. In our case, we'll be using the brown wire as APS sensor 1, and we'll be using the green wire as APS sensor 2. Now our unit needs a constant voltage of 10 volts for it to operate, and for the STU to operate at that voltage you will have to tap into the yellow wire, and I've checked the voltage of the yellow wire and it's constant at 10 volts. The last wire that we need to worry about is the black one. Do not touch the black wire in this line because it carries a 10 volt in it, so it's not an earth. So don't try to earth anything over here, earth it to the body. As you can see, I've spliced the connections and used flat connectors, male and female, so that you can have it as a wiring harness. You can plug it in and then plug it out wherever you want to. Now let's go through the wiring what I've done. So you need to look for the brown wire, cut it, and the wire which is coming from the ECM side gets connected to the red and yellow wire on the STU harness. Next, look for the white and yellow wire on the STU harness and connect it to the brown wire which is going to the APS. This is your APS signal 1 wiring that you've just completed. Now go to the green wire, cut the green wire. The one which is coming from the ECM side will get connected to the black and red wire in the STU harness. Look for the white and red wire in the STU harness and connect it to the green wire that is going to the APS sensor. So this is your APS signal 2 connection that you have completed. Now you'll see that there are 2 wires which is red in color and black in color on the STU harness that needs connection. The red wire needs to tap into the yellow line. You do not need to cut the yellow line, just splice it and connect it to the red. The yellow line gives you a 10 volt constant and that will power your STU. The black wire that you have needs to be grounded. You need to give a negative signal to it. Do not wire it to the black wire in the APS socket. What you have to do is you need to connect it to the chassis to get the ground going. Okay, so I've just shown you how to do the wiring, how to connect the STU to the APS. Okay, so this concludes the complete wiring of your GCU and the STU to the APS of your bike. So now your downward blipping system is completely wired, okay, and it's ready for using. There's just one step that's left off where you need to tune the self-teaching unit so that it knows when is your throttle open and when is your throttle closed. For doing this, there are certain steps. It's a bit complicated for me to just shoot a video and show it to you because I myself had to struggle through the process 2 or 3 times before the STU finally saved the settings that I gave. Now, the settings are quite simple and quite easy to do. It's just that when I was trying to save the settings, instead of saving it, I erased them by mistake. So I had to redo it the second time and then it got saved. So there would be a set of instructions along with the box that you received, along with the product. So what you would need to do is that open that and follow those steps so that the STU is programmed to understand when your throttle is open and when your throttle is closed. Once that programming is done, it's all set. It'll start to work on its own. Whenever you're shifting up or shifting down, it will automatically start to blip the engine so you can do a clutchless downshift. The reason I couldn't show you guys the installation of the Magic Eye is because I needed a different socket. So basically the Magic Eye was fine, but the mounting plate that I had was not getting mounted properly. So I had to custom build one. It was 9:30 in the night and my friend who owns the bike had to go back to his town. So he lives about 300 kilometers away from Bangalore and he had to travel back. It was already 9:30 at night. He couldn't stay back, so that's the reason my video is not showing how to install the Magic Eye. But he will be doing it sometime, I don't know, next week, and he said that he will try to shoot a video and send me how he has fabricated the bracket for mounting this. This is going to be another challenge because the Magic Eye comes right next to your gear lever. So what happens is that the back side of it is brushing very close to the sprocket, the chain sprocket. So when you create the mounting point, you need to be careful that the wires of the sensors do not touch the sprocket and do not get cut. So that's a challenging part. So we didn't want to mess around, trying to do something to make it work at night and then end up ruining the wiring of the Magic Eye sensor which is there. Okay. Another thing you need to know is that the Magic Eye will only sense the metal lever moving. it doesn't. If you try to keep your hand in front of the magic hand and try to wave it to see whether it's sensing any movement, it won't work. However, if you keep, say, a spanner or something in front of it and try moving it, you will see that it will emit amber color light as an indication that yes, it's able to sense the metal that's moving in front of it. Now, when you're putting the sensor, it needs to be such that, so if this is your gear lever and you move it, your sensor should be in such a way that the play that your gear lever has, the minute it senses the play, it should activate the blip and it should blip your engine. And then you click through to your gear. If you don't set it up in that way, what's going to happen is that it will blip too late or it will blip too early, leading to your engine to just blip unnecessarily, and it will not help you in your downshift. So you need to be a bit careful. Another tricky part that we were facing is that typically in other superbikes, you go one down and rest up. In this one, we had to go one up and rest down. So the gears were a bit opposite from what I remember. So that's one other reason that I could not figure out how to make a homemade bracket or something and fix it. I hope this installation instruction helps you.
Hey guys, thank you for watching my vlog. If you're not subscribed yet, bang, click on the subscribe button, it's right there. If you want to watch the last 2 videos that I've uploaded, I put them up here and here. And of course, my favorite playlist, the Superbike Weekend, it's right up here. You can check that out. Don't forget to smash the like button on the way out.